What's up, y'all? Welcome to the Grace and Favor podcast, hosted by your girl, Akira. That's me. Woo! Finally, we are here. Episode 1. Oh my goodness. First of all, it's been exactly 9 months. So I've been pregnant with this podcast for 9 months, and I'm finally giving birth, okay? We are pushing this thing out today. Let me tell you, it's been a tussle these past months. I definitely knew, without a doubt, it was something that I was going to do, but I think the issue came with when I put a deadline on myself. If people that are perfectionists, listen, what I've learned throughout this experience is that, you're not going to get things 100% correct. Things are not going to be 100% perfect, and we just try our hardest and we learn it as we go. So we can look back at this episode, hopefully maybe episode 100 a year or two or whatever from now, and be like, wow, this came a long way. But for now, y'all bear with me. I'm looking forward to the mistakes, the learning process, and just getting better at this thing. This is a lifestyle, and I also work my 9 to 5. I've been telling myself this is my legacy. I have to do it. There's podcasts popping up every now and then, but I want to let y'all know this is not one of them little podcasts, okay? People joke about it, who is giving these people podcast equipment? Okay, and I'll be honest, I got this podcast equipment for free, so I'm one of them people that you guys are oh my gosh. But no, I want really to make an impact with this, not just to hear myself talk. To be honest with y'all, I really don't like talking.
Wow. Bitch, what?
I like talking about certain topics I get very passionate about, music and everything, but when it comes just to being vulnerable, this is all new to me, okay? I love the space that we're in right now. We went through COVID, and we're kind of dealing with this COVID hangover. We don't know what's going on next, monkeypox or whatever. I'll be down for another quarantine, but it really made people evaluate their mindfulness, their emotions, and their mental health, and I love that. I feel now there's so many resources. People are openly talking about it, and I feel that is still one step of it, just healing the society and everything, but having the knowledge but actually applying it to your life. And this is me applying my purpose to my life. I plan to talk so much about purpose because it's so important. I feel there's different misconceptions about what purpose looks like, and it looks different for different people, but I do want to let y'all know, first and foremost, this is a faith-based podcast, and by faith I mean the Lord Jesus Christ. Okay, there's 3 things I don't play about. That is Jesus, my family, and Beyonce. Okay, let's talk about Grace and Favor. Why this podcast? Why me? Why the name? Where did I get the name from? I would say within recent years, learn to find my voice. And what do I mean by that? So, growing up, and here I am telling a little story about my childhood. I appreciate the way I was raised. No parent is perfect. Let's get that right. But overall, the way I would describe my upbringing was grounded. Definitely God and Christianity instilled in me. I think that, and most Black people could probably definitely relate, if you're a millennial and older, of just not being able to have the capacity to really express yourself. And so I'm the youngest of 3, and we're all spread out in age. So at a certain time, through middle school and high school, I was the only child in the house. And I grew up in a house where it's you're a child, you stay in a child's place. And times where I didn't really know how to vocally express myself. And so I did want to make sure that when I was doing this podcast, that it didn't just come from that, because that's fear. It's fear of not being heard. And it's not, I'm making sure that it's more than just that, because that's something that I've learned within myself. Not being heard, at the end of the day, people want to be listened to. That just goes along with being a compassionate person, is, listening and understanding with no judgment. But I grew up where it was like emotions are kind of just fast. You have them, you get over it. Like, I remember particularly this one time coming home just crying to my mom. Oh, they were teasing me at school. My mom busted out laughing. Like, I'm probably 9 or something, or just young, and she laughed, and I'm like, why are you laughing? She's like, girl, people are going to talk about you for the rest of your life. So I definitely want to, when I do have kids like me, just make a few tweaks to the way I was brought up, but like definitely expression is important. And there's just so many avenues of expressing yourself. Like podcasting is one of them, but you have people that write music, dancing. I mean, there's so many ways of just self-expressing. So I'm here, little old, not liking to talk, shy me. Who would have thought? And it's funny because I come from a talking family, okay? My mom could talk, my dad was a preacher, my sister could talk. None of them would like to admit it, but they talk a lot, okay? And so I think with me being the baby, and then not really knowing how to really express myself, it definitely made when I became aware of that, I worked more on it, and I'm still working on it. But the name Grace and Favor, like, why the name? Oh my goodness. So I came up with the name, and I think I was asking people their opinion with, even though I knew I was going to go with it, what it means to me. Like, just the word grace itself, you know, it has dual meanings. You know, you think of a person with grace, you think of class. Like, there's women that I think of in like celebrity figures like Michelle Obama or Viola Davis. I started this thing called Women of Grace Wednesdays, WGW, and that is women that, you know, just really inspire me, who are living in their purpose, who are sharing, and who just are a beam of light. And essentially, like, that's what I'm working on being. Like, Grace and Favor is really a testament to my life and how I want to continue living my life. So that's one meaning. You know, you think of a person that has grace, they have compassion, they're unbothered, you know, but not from a standpoint of not being empathetic, but just, you know, protecting their peace and just letting person they come in contact with just being a beacon of light to them. And so I admire women like that. Child, it is probably going to be a debatable topic, some of the women that are on my Women of Grace roster. Some of y'all not going to agree with, but y'all going to hear me out, and that's why y'all are here. And grace just being grace from God. Like, grace is not about where you come from. Who, if anything, where you come from, you realize at some times in life, in moments of danger, I really taken into account my grace moments that God just really showed mercy on my life. And even sometimes, like now when things are going good, or I don't even know if it's just my outlook, where even when I'm in bad, I just see things are still going good. That's God's grace. We're all here by God's grace. If you woke up this morning and open your eyes, you're here by God's grace. There is still purpose. There is still meaning to your life. And there is still another chance that God has given us to really fulfill what we're supposed to on this earth. And I'm really big on that. And I think I'm so hard on myself because I don't want to leave this earth without fulfilling my purpose, whatever that is, you know. I feel like this is part of the path of my purpose. People talk about purpose is kind of like this thing like happiness, where you find it, you finally reached it, you finally reach your purpose and you live in it. But we don't realize that things that we do day to day, people that we come across, strangers, like those are all a part of our purpose. Like where you are in your life, what city you're living in, it all leads to your purpose. The people that are around you, the people that, you know, you've had fallouts with, like it was all to serve a purpose. And I think it's like always appreciate those steps, because even if you feel like you're not in your purpose, you know that you're getting better prepared by these experiences. So when your purpose comes, that you're able to thrive in it, that you're able to confidently do everything skillfully with more knowledge. And so When they say trust the process, child, trust the process. Trust God, like in every step, no matter that you are in. I have this thing sitting in my apartment that says, shoot, what does it say? Oh, be still and know that I am God. And there's been times in my life where, like, you know, I appreciated the stillness, because these are times where you can now build on knowledge. And, you know, when times come, like, you'll know. It's almost like, oh, like God just screamed to me. I would be unsettled if I did not do this podcast. As much as, I'll be honest, it is not my passion to talk in front of an audience, but it is something that is just continue to be a burning in me to do. So back to grace. A lot of us experience God's grace without even knowing sometimes, whether He decides to reveal it to us or not. I just get so antsy just talking about it, because I just think of the times God just really spared me and really kept me at peace at times. That's God's grace right there. You know, it's not always these tangible blessings. Like, it's little things like staying sane and recovering from insanity. That is God's grace. You know, He's there to remind us who we are. I'm right now in a point in my life where I just have really control to turn things around and really apply my mind and see change. And I don't want to do any of that without God's approval. That is the point in my life I am at. Like, really, God, what do you want me to do here? One of the things I've been praying for probably the last 2 years, the word clarity. Clarity has been so important to me, because there's times where I do feel lost, and I'm sure I'm not the only one. I mean, I'm not. There's times where we feel lost, especially when you go feeling confident, you know, and then something not working out. Okay, now I'm lost. Like, God, what? What happened? I thought, like, you know, this was assurance, but I feel like through God's grace of Him sparing my stupidity, He's just made things just very clear. Like, and I wanted clarity in like all aspects of my life. Like, and I want grace in all aspects of my life, of my career, of my love life, and just, you know, friendships. I think that was so important. And lately, God has just been making things clear, and He's prepped me in those. I needed those moments of being lost to really come to terms and find myself and have more clarification. So don't put down those moments where, I mean, you're low. Like, the end of it is a better outcome. Like, you're going to be a stronger person. I know this all sounds cliche, but people need to be reminded. People are not okay right now. People need to be reminded of their strength. That's what I really want people just to be reminded of, who they are and their worth and value. And then favor, you know, like, why me? Sometimes, and that could be in a good and bad sense, like, why me? But God has chosen us for this particular time. I would say favor is like approval, God's anointings on our life. It's just affirmation of grace, whether that be in tangible ways or just in, I mean, they're very synonymous words. Favor is the highway to connect to your destiny. I'm gonna do better, y'all. I'm, excited to be covering these topics, experiences being a Christian millennial, and I ain't gonna lie, it's hard, because I'm a very cultural person. I'm from Los Angeles. I embrace my culture. I make it very clear to people. I live in Atlanta right now, but I make it very clear to people that I'm not from here. Everywhere I go, play the most played out song in California, California knows how to play. I'm gonna go out to it because I like to represent. So I think I'm gonna always be a rap head. I love rap. I love music. And I think maybe it is that self-expression and some of it, the ratchetness and just the fun of it. I don't know. I just love it though. I mean, I do love conscious rap, I love the Kendrick Lamars and J. Cole's and Nas's of the world. But, I don't see it as something that necessarily like affects my life in the sense of I listen to violence and I want to go shoot up a person. I understand like we have to be cognizant of like what we feed our brain and everything. And so I try to, by justifying it, tell myself that, oh, rap is not really affecting me, but then I'll find myself acting ratchet sometimes. And I'm like, well, maybe it is. And I like to feel like it doesn't, but it does. And we do need to be careful of, what we feed our minds. But if the beat is knocking and the lyrics is rocking, I am, okay? Other than that, I'm good. I'm a good person. Like, if you love, I'm not saying that if you love rap, you're a bad person, but like, I would say it is probably my only addiction. I don't think the only other thing I think I'm addicted to is sleep.
That ass low key on God.
Rap music and sleep. Yeah, so I'm getting off a tangent here. We're going to have an episode where we just talk about music. Because I love me some Beyonce, child. That's a woman of grace right there, okay? I'm just loving the space that everyone is in of wanting to have these conversations of mental health. And so I definitely wanted to be in that wellness space. Like, I know I'm just one speck in it, but one of the things that, and I've expressed this before, and this goes to people, other podcasters that may be feeling discouraged, like if you don't have the audience or anything, speak your truth, because you never know who is listening. You may think that, oh, I only have maybe 10 listeners on this episode. It doesn't matter how big your audience is, unless, of course, you're taking into account ads and making money off of that. But as far as like getting your message across, like, you can, within those 5 people, impact 1 or 2 of them. And there's people that come out with content that get 1 million views that really don't send a message of like anything, really. It's just for views, and nothing wrong with that, but I'm just saying, like, I plan to keep it real. Like, I'm not even worried right now. I get a fulfillment just being obedient to God that I did this. And the cool thing about the internet is that stuff stays on there, and throughout years, we may be bones underground, and the new, whatever they name the generations, like 300 years from now or something like that, they find this archive of just people, and it's gonna be a lot of content they go through, like, what? This was civilization 300 years ago? Okay. People are gonna be in the metaverse, like, probably not even pay attention to this, but hey, this is something for my kids to watch, if I have kids. Something, just a piece of my expression and my glorification of God to them. So y'all understand what I'm saying?
Know what I'm saying?
So look, anything you want to do in your life, stay focused, okay? And don't focus so much on perfection. Just do your best. I love podcasts. My favorite podcast is The Breakfast Club. And I listen to a few Christian podcasts. Right now, I haven't watched anything all day, but I'm more inspired. I mean, inspiration is real. Like, it's the stuff that feeds you to keep that fire going. And so as long as the inspiration that is coming is, from a good place, then yeah, like, be inspired and go get it. Go get that back. What did he say? Stay in it back. Get in it back. And there are questions that were asked months ago. Yeah. I'm so terrible. And so what I did was I went on my Instagram page and I posted one of those like questions, like, for topics or whatever, for the podcast. I already have a list of topics that I want to share, but just random questions. And so I wish I saved all of them. I didn't think that you can't go back and view those questions, but there's a few of them that I did remember, and I thought one of them would be good for this episode. One of the questions was, why do women undervalue themselves? Ooh, I can tell you one thing. What was my answer? It was a good answer. First of all, that's an interesting question because I feel like it's to assume that women know that they're undervaluing themselves. Some women do know. Like, there's times where I'm like, and this is in maybe a particular space in like my career where I'm like, I'm undervaluing myself because I know I haven't put in the work that I needed to, pretty much, to have the skills to progress. So, but when it comes to that, one, everyone's idea of value, like, it's very subjective. So, you know, one person's perspective of sacrifice or whatever, or undervaluing or self-diminishing to another person can be different. Sometimes it's a lack of resources, okay? Like, and it is generally not knowing. So if you're per se a woman that grew up in poverty, sometimes having a McDonald's job to people is a blessing, okay? Like, it is a part of their journey and it may be the end of their journey. But do we necessarily say that they're undervaluing themselves? Like, if you're going based off of your past, in your future, where you are now is better than that to you, you may think that you're not undervaluing yourself. It all really depends on how you look at it. I definitely think that people have more potential to do better and be better. It is lack of experience sometimes. You know, we think of life as growth. You know, it's a growth pattern. I mean, there's so many aspects to life. Like, there's career, there's love, there's this. Like, it is a lot to mindfully just make sure that you have the best in all those areas. Relatively, we can say a woman who has their career together but aren't married and have kids, to the woman that is married and have kids, that woman could be undervaluing herself, because what matters is people's outcome in life and how they view life, what they find important. That's why I say it's subjective. The women with a career may, and oftentimes do, look at women with the husband and kids, housewife or whatever, as her undervaluing herself, when really that woman finds fulfillment in that. So it is hard. Like, we definitely need to have more grace on ourselves. I'm gonna have so much fun. But yeah, be more graceful with ourselves. And if it's to a point of undervaluing yourself to where you think you can't do better, if you're settling in a relationship and this person is like harming you or something, like, you need to get out and really be alone, because it should never get to a point where your love for this person overshadows your love for yourself. So how you allow people to treat you also says a lot about how you view yourself. So in that regards, I could see that question being, you know, why women undervalue themselves. I will say though, I'm going to probably get so much backlash from this, but I feel like there are also some of us, not just women, men, that overvalue ourselves. And why do I say that? Like, it's I mean, in an unhealthy way. Like, we should definitely think highly of ourselves. Like, you know, we're made in God's image. But when that lacks humility, people think that they're better than other people. That's when, you know, there's an issue and there's some self-reflection that needs to go on. And there's a lot of influence in the media. Never think too highly of yourself to not even day to day just connect with someone that you feel like is beneath you. Like, I know I'm a good person, okay? I know that I have a heart of service, and there are people that overvalue themselves, and it is very ego driven. not necessarily from a place of self-love and self-worth. It is entitlement sometimes, and that could be very ugly. Fix that, please. I'm very big on being realistic, and every goal that I do set for myself, I make sure is attainable at that time. So we can set goals 10 years. That's why, time frames, like, be realistic with your goals. We have these vision boards and everything of how to be honest, I don't have a vision board. I mean, I guess my vision board stays in my head. I'm always worried about, like, the women, that I'm going to be internally 5 years from now, from a lot knowledge standpoint, the wisdom that I want to gain, and then that leading me to the tangible things in life that I want to unlock through that knowledge. I don't have right now, I'd say, like a dream car or anything in that vision. I think that it is very important to see every step on the way and not to be discouraged when one out of those 100 steps that leads to your destination, or however you see yourself as, like, really for me it's about comfort, like, I want to live a comfortable life. I don't want to worry about finances all my life. I want to enjoy myself, and like sleep. I want to sleep every day. I want to sleep in a nice bed with a nice view. Honestly, I don't care about the view, but the more realistic you are, the more you're able to attain your goal. I thank you for tuning in. Stay tuned for these episodes to come out. I haven't really thought about the frequency of it. I work a 9 to 5, so be patient, bear with me. I look forward to, I definitely want to do some interviews. I have to meet people first, and I have to meet people, like, in their expertise. I really want people to contribute their knowledge and everything, but at the same time, like, I want to build this for y'all. Like, what do y'all want from me? And then, of course, God always puts ideas in my head. Again, thank you for listening to the Grace and Favor podcast. We'll get into some stuff, y'all, okay? Alright, but good night, y'all, or good morning, whatever I push this podcast out. Peace.